It's late evening. The house is still. The TV murmurs softly in the background, and you're settled into your favorite chair, finishing a light snack before bed. Everything feels routine, calm, uneventful. Then in a split second, everything shifts. One bite, swallowed too fast, and suddenly something isn't right. The food won't go down. It won't come back up. You clear your throat. Nothing. You try to cough. Still nothing effective. Your chest tightens. Your eyes begin to water. And before your mind can fully grasp what's happening, your body already knows the truth. You're choking, and you're completely alone. Now hear this carefully. In a true choking emergency, the first 20 seconds can determine whether this becomes a close call or a tragedy. Not because you're weak, not because of age, but because panic steals precious seconds, and choking is one of the fastest moving emergencies the body can face. And if you're over 60, the risk becomes even more serious. With age, swallowing can lose its precision. Throat muscles may not sink like they once did. Medications can cause dry mouth. Dentures can interfere with proper chewing. And certain hidden conditions can quietly increase the chance of food entering the airway instead of the esophagus. This isn't a rare what if. This is a real life-threatening situation that older adults must be ready for. I'm Dr. Ethan Parker, and if you're over 60, this could be one of the most critical survival messages you ever hear. Today I'm going to guide you through the 7 most essential actions to take if you start choking while you're alone, ranked from helpful to potentially life-saving, and you must stay until the end, because the final steps are the ones most people never learn, and they often mean the difference between panic and survival. Let's begin with number 7, and it may save your life precisely because it seems so simple. Stop asking how bad is this. Ask only one thing. Can I still move air? When choking begins, many people lose those vital first seconds thinking the wrong way. They freeze. They try to swallow again. They reach for water. They hope it will pass. But in that moment, you don't need a full explanation. You need one clear answer. Can air still move? That is your first and most important decision point. If you can still cough forcefully, make sound, or draw in even a small amount of air, your airway is likely only partially blocked, not completely closed. That's still dangerous, but it also means your body still has a powerful defense, your cough reflex. In emergency medicine, that reflex can be the difference maker. A strong cough is often the body's first and best chance to clear the blockage before the situation turns critical. But here's the danger. Many people disrupt that natural defense by reacting the wrong way. They panic, they gulp water, they try to force another swallow, and in doing so, they make a dangerous situation even worse. People start jamming their fingers into their mouth, even when they can't see or reach the object. They begin wandering around in panic, instead of taking decisive action. So if you can still move air, even if it feels terrifying, your first responsibility is not fear. Your first responsibility is awareness. I still have time. I still have a chance to clear this. Now we move to number 6, and this is where many people unintentionally make things worse. If you can still cough, do not hold back. Cough the right way. Being able to cough is not comfortable news, not calming news, but it is powerful news because it means your body is actively trying to protect you. The problem is, panic changes how people cough. They produce weak, shallow throat coughs, quick, scattered bursts that sound urgent but lack the force needed to dislodge anything from the airway. That will not save you. What you need is a deep, forceful, explosive cough. Stay upright, ground yourself, pull in whatever air you can, and drive the cough from your chest and abdomen with strength, intention, and repetition. Think of it as blasting the blockage out with pressure from below, because that is exactly what your body is designed to do. This is not the moment for restraint. This is not the moment for composure. This is not the moment to quietly clear your throat and hope it passes. This is the moment to be aggressive with your cough, if air is still moving. And I want to speak directly to those over 60, because this is critical. Many people have spent years training themselves to stay calm, avoid attention, and downplay discomfort, telling themselves, I'm probably okay. But if you are choking, this is not the time for dignity. This is the time for survival. Because the moment your cough weakens, fades, or turns into that terrifying silent struggle, the situation has escalated. And when that happens, you do not wait. You move instantly to number 5. The second you recognize severity, stop testing, stop guessing, switch fully into emergency mode. There is a dangerous turning point in choking where denial becomes life-threatening. It's the moment you stop being someone who swallowed incorrectly and become someone with a blocked airway. And that shift can happen in seconds. One moment you're coughing, the next your throat tightens, your voice disappears, and you can't draw in enough air to function. If you lose those seconds to hesitation, they may be gone for good. This is where people freeze because they are waiting for absolute certainty. They want proof that it's serious before acting. But in emergencies, waiting for certainty is often what costs lives. If you cannot speak, cannot breathe effectively, or cannot produce a strong cough, you must flip one mental switch immediately. This is an emergency. I act now, not after one more swallow, not after checking the mirror, not after trying to walk it off. Now, and this shift is even more critical when you are alone, because there is no one else to recognize the danger for you. In that moment, you are your own rescuer, and that leads directly to number 4. Perform self-abdominal thrusts immediately, and do them with full force. At this stage, your body may no longer be able to clear the blockage on its own. When that happens, you must manually generate the same upward pressure another person would use to save you. Make a fist. Position the thumb side of your fist just above your belly button and below your breastbone. Not on the ribs, not too high, not too low. Then grip that fist with your other hand and drive it inward and upward sharply. Think in and up. You are creating a sudden surge of pressure beneath the diaphragm. And here's where many people fail. They try once and stop. That is not enough. If it doesn't work the first time, do it again, and again, and again, hard, fast, committed. Because this is not a gentle action. This is not a basic first aid motion. This is a life-saving maneuver. It may hurt. It may leave bruising. It may feel intense, even violent. That does not mean you are doing it wrong. In a real airway emergency, the question is not, will this leave soreness tomorrow? The question is, can I get air back before I lose consciousness? And if you are over 60, do not convince yourself that you are too old, too fragile, or too weak to do this. Survival is not about looking controlled. It is about doing what works. There's something most people are never taught, and it becomes absolutely critical when your own strength isn't enough. That brings us to number 3. Use a hard edge, because your surroundings can become your lifeline. If your hands can't generate enough force, your environment can, and often far more effectively, especially if you're getting weaker, more panicked or lightheaded. Find something solid, the back of a sturdy chair, the edge of a heavy table, the corner of a firm countertop, anything stable, unmoving and hard. Then position the upper part of your abdomen, the area just above your belly button and below your breastbone, against that edge, and drive your body forward and downward with sharp, forceful intent. What you're doing is turning that surface into a powerful tool to create the same inward and upward pressure someone else would use to perform abdominal thrusts on you. And yes, it may look aggressive. That's okay, because choking is aggressive. This is not the moment to worry about bruising your abdomen or shifting furniture. The only thing that matters is whether you generate enough force to dislodge the blockage before your oxygen runs out. If it doesn't work the first time, repeat it fast, forceful and focused. Now we need to address the part people dangerously underestimate. Even if you're doing everything correctly, time may still be slipping away. That brings us to number 2. Activate emergency help early, because your real enemy isn't the food, it's the clock. Sometimes even the right actions aren't enough. The object may be tightly lodged, your airway may be nearly sealed, your strength may be dropping faster than expected. You may already be becoming dizzy or disoriented. That's why one of the smartest decisions you can make when choking alone is to call for help early, not when you're already collapsing. And no, this doesn't mean calmly explaining your condition while struggling to breathe. It means one clear action. Call emergency services and put your phone on speaker. Even if you can't speak clearly, even if you can't speak at all, even if all that comes through is a connected line with distress sounds, it still matters. Dispatchers are trained to recognize and respond to distress calls, including silent or broken ones. Many people hesitate because they fear overreacting. They think, what if this clears and I feel embarrassed? But embarrassment fades, loss of oxygen does not. If you have the ability to trigger help, do it immediately. Smart survival isn't about pride, it's about increasing your chances of making it through. And now we reach number 1, the part no one likes to think about, but everyone needs to understand. If the obstruction isn't cleared and your body begins to shut down, what happens next can still make a critical difference. When a severe airway blockage isn't relieved, unconsciousness can follow, and once that happens, the situation transforms completely. This is no longer just choking, it becomes a collapse emergency where chest compressions from rescuers may help shift the obstruction and maintain circulation until advanced help arrives. If you are still conscious and capable, your mission is to keep fighting, coughing, thrusting, using hard edge pressure, and activating help. But if you feel yourself weakening, getting dizzy, losing awareness, or fading, then your final conscious actions should focus on making rescue possible. Lower yourself if you feel collapse coming. Do not remain standing if you're about to fall uncontrollably. If possible, get to the floor with control rather than crashing down. If your phone is active, leave it connected. If your door is already unlocked, that helps. But don't waste your last seconds trying to create perfect conditions. Focus on what truly matters. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. The goal is to act despite it, without letting it steal your time. Because choking is one of the rare emergencies where everything can change in seconds. That's why what you do in those first 20 seconds matters far more than what you simply know. You don't need medical training. You don't need perfect form. You do not need superhuman strength. You do not need perfect skill. What you need is a clear sequence, a simple, unforgettable survival plan. First, ask yourself, can I still move air? Second, if you can cough, cough hard and keep going without stopping. Third, if you cannot speak or breathe properly, recognize instantly, this is an emergency. Fourth, perform strong, committed self-abdominal thrusts. Fifth, if that fails, use a solid edge like a chair or sturdy table to generate more force. Sixth, call for emergency help as early as possible. Seventh, if your body starts to give out, get low and position yourself so rescue is possible. That is your order. That is your survival script. And if you can recall it in the middle of panic, you give yourself a fighting chance. Most people never even realize they have. But getting through the choking itself does not always mean the danger is over. Imagine it works. The obstruction comes out. You gasp for air, your lungs pull in oxygen, your chest burns, your throat aches, and your hands tremble. First, breathe. Regain control. But second, do not immediately assume everything is fine. After a serious choking episode, especially if it required repeated force or you nearly lost consciousness, there can still be reasons to seek medical attention. Small particles of food can enter the lungs, strong thrusts can leave internal soreness or bruising, and most importantly, the choking event itself may be a warning signal. Because choking is not always random. Sometimes it is your body telling you something is changing. It may mean swallowing is becoming less reliable. It may mean dentures are not fitting correctly. It may point to dry mouth, reflux, past stroke effects, Parkinson's disease, medication side effects, or age-related weakness in swallowing muscles, quietly raising your risk. So if this ever happens, even if you survive alone and no help arrives, do not ignore it and return to normal as if nothing happened. Stop and evaluate. Ask yourself what led to it. Was the food too dry? Did I rush my swallowing? Was I talking while eating? Have I had similar scares before? Has swallowing felt different recently? Because the people who truly protect themselves are not just the ones who survive emergencies, they are the ones who learn from them, and that is what this message is meant to leave you with. Not fear, but control. Yes, choking alone after 60 is frightening. It is sudden. It is silent. It is one of those emergencies people assume will never happen until it does. But now, it is no longer unfamiliar to you. Now if it happens, your mind has something to hold on to. Not confusion, not panic, but a plan. And in an emergency, a plan is often what gives your body a real chance to survive. So if this helped you, take one more step. Don't just watch and forget. Save it. Share it with your spouse. Send it to your parents. Pass it to anyone who eats alone. Send it to the person who always says, "That could never happen to me." Because that belief is exactly what emergencies rely on. And if you remember only one line from all of this, make it this. When choking begins, don't freeze, don't hesitate, and don't wait. Act within the first 20 seconds, like your life depends on it. Because sometimes it truly does.